So some of you that have been following me for a while, you probably remember it's been about almost a year now that I was trying to put together this journal that was depicting a journey around the world, basically. I got a couple of ladies together from my group to do kind of a test run. And when we finished, none of us wanted to exchange our journals. I think we had made them too big, maybe, and we put too much effort into them, and we didn't want to part with them. And the premise was we were going to exchange with one another, and then at the end we would have this journal that depicted a journey around the world. So we decided that we didn't want to part with them, so we just stayed with the ones that we made, and I put it on hold and I moved on to other projects. Well, I'm kind of stubborn and I still like the concept, so I've come up with a different way of approaching it, and we're going to try it here in the Trashy Junk Journals and see if it works. It's going to be smaller, more compact, and let's see how it goes. First of all, let me show you the original concept, so you can kind of get an idea of where my head was at when we started this. So mine was going to be Northern Africa. I've always liked that region of the world during a certain period of time, and I'm not even sure why, but the 30s and 40s in that period of time, I just really was attracted to it. Again, I really don't even know why, but given that, that's what I decided to do. So this was what I ended up starting. It's not really complete, but to give you an idea of what I was talking about. Here basically it just, shows you different towns in that area, and these were some stickers I had had a long time, the type that you put on trunks, and I had held on to them and never used them, and I thought, well, this is an opportunity to use them. And so that's what's here in the front. This here is just copy paper, and I have two together and I have them sewn, and that's all that is here. I wanted the journals to have some illustrations in them, like some travel journals do. They'll do their sketching. I am not good at all at that, but I like to challenge myself. And those of you in the group know that that's what we do all the time. That's how we have fun. I think when you do what you feel comfortable with, it becomes kind of boring. And when you challenge yourself, I think it builds up the excitement of your art. But that's just my opinion. So anyway, so this here is some watercolor that I did of some travel trunks and suitcases, and that's pretty much it. I found some money from the area that dated to that era, and I printed it out, just kind of grunged it up, and so there's some of the money. Here is a tag from what? I think, well, I guess it would be from airlines of some kind. Now, what I imagined here is going to the open markets there where they sell the different fabrics and the silks and different types of things. And so I imagine these were samples that I collected, and this was the girl at the marketplace that was selling them. Now, on some of these, what I did is I printed some of these things. Let me think. Some of these I printed out. I printed them all out on black and white. Black and white. And they were printed on just regular copy paper. And then I came back with watercolors and some pastels to give it that kind of vintage aged look, and turn these into postcards. And made just a little thing to write little notes with the passport in the front. Then this depicted a registered letter. I had a whole storyline with that. I won't bore you with it. And I have the letter somewhere. And then here are some tags to some other hotels and some things to write into. Now this is a sketch of where I stayed, places I had been, so I just kind of drew that out. This is just all just watercolored also. And then I love the architecture, so I drew one of the traditional looking doors with the tiles on the side. And this would be a view from my room overlooking where I was staying. And another one that I colored for a postcard. And just some letters, some envelopes that I made. And this is to some railway. And in my next installment, my plan was I was going on the Orient Express, because during that period of time it went to wonderful places. So that was going to be my pass to the Orient Express. And that's what I have done. I haven't finished it. When we decided we weren't going to do it, I just put it away and moved off to some other ideas. But this was just always in the back of my mind that I wanted to get this done. What I did was the things that I had put in here, or I had drawn, I made color copies of the things that I had drawn. Because then at one point we thought, well, maybe we'll just make some copies and we'll be happy with that and keep what we have. And, you know, we were just thinking all different directions. So I do have copies of what I had put in here. So now that is what we started off with. And now it's progressed to a slightly different slant on the same idea. And let me share that with you. Let me get to my Trashy, of course, because I have to, my stuff's in there now. And this is what I've come up with. There are 7 continents, and if we start this swap with the May swap, we'll be able to go to all 7 continents by the end of the year. And this is my plan if there's enough individuals that want to participate. The size that we're going to do is this size. The size of the travel journal. Hello, travel journal, we're making a travel journal. So I figured that would be a good size. So most of the inserts that you can buy are these dimensions here. They're 8 3/4 across and 8 1/4 in height, length, whatever you call that. So that's the size we're going to do. Now in this particular swap, the size of everything really needs to be precise so that when we collect all of our 7 continents, they're going to be able to fit inside of our journal that we're going to make, and they'll be able to, they'll look like they belong there because they'll all be the same size. There'll be some continuity. All right, so one of the hinders, I think, that really hindered me on my last attempt is that we just had too many pages. I mean, you know, after you did all this, you know, who wanted to give all that away? We didn't want to give it away because it was all hand done. So the one that we're going to do is only going to be 3 pages. Now I say only because the other one was so big, but you have 3 pages that we're going to deal with. But when you have the 3 pages, you really have 12 sides that we're going to be working on. So it's still substantial. There's still a lot you can put into it and a lot that you can do to make this a really nice journal. So what we're going to do is for the month of May, I'm going to post that on the 1st there in the group, and we're going to do North America. And then in June, we're going to do South America, July, Antarctica. In August, we're going to do Africa. September, we're going to do Europe. Then in October, it will be Asia. And November will be Australia. So at the end of the year, if you participate each month, you're going to have a journal that depicts a travel across all 7 continents and across the world. Now, what are we going to put in these journals? I'm glad you asked. I do have the answer. What we're going to do is we're going to have these 3 pages, right? And this is what has to be included in all the journals. This is the very least, and then, of course, you can do whatever you want to after you've included these. But, of course, you need to put your name. A lot of people are forgetting to put their names on things, and because this is going to be like a documentation of your travels and you're sharing it with someone, or maybe we found it somewhere and now we're reading it, obviously we need to know who you are. So you need to put, first of all, somewhere on there your real name. But if you are being a fictitious person and you want it to write it as if you were someone other than yourself, that could be a very fun approach for these journals, because they're fantasy journals, so you could be a fantasy person. You need to put down in here the country and the continent. Somewhere in there. That needs to be documented in there. I forgot to put the continent. I mean, the country and the continent. Now, this is the fun part. This journal can represent any year. Any year. It could be the 1800s. It could be the 1950s. It can be a representation of your travel to that country based on any time in history. So you need to document that also, so that when we're looking at the journal, it makes sense to us, because we know, oh, that was in 1852. Okay, so that makes sense. So you need to put the year. All right. Number 4, you have to have at least one hand-drawn image. Now, don't let that stop you. It could be a stick figure. It could be a flower. It can be a bug. You know, don't start thinking about, something dramatic and you have to draw people and get all intimidated. Just a little something to make it very personal, like you would for your own personal journal. Also, there needs to be at least one handwritten entry in the journal, because if this was real, you'd be writing something. So we wanted to have that feel of being authentic. So you have to write something somewhere in the journal that is in relationship to your travels. I don't want some saying that you picked up on Pinterest and you just write. No, it needs to reflect your travel, the country you're in, and how that country made you feel, or what you thought about the people, their surroundings. Have it really be to that particular thing. Nothing that is just very neutral. It needs to be very specific to where you're visiting. All right, and then as usual, we need to have this be at least 50% of your recycled materials. We don't want you going out and buying stuff and printing stuff and all this. We need to keep quite a bit of it recycled. Now, this is optional. You might want to make, because it is just the 3 pages, you may want to make copies for yourself to keep of the various countries or continents that you're going to be making for your partners. But that's just optional. But always, always send the original to your partner. Do not send them a copy. All right? Also, another thing you might want to keep in mind, as new people join the group, They may say, oh, I missed North America, I missed South America. So if you're on a roll and you want to make an extra and keep it to the side, so you might think of making an extra just in case you want to swap with a new member in the future. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so I think I've covered almost everything. I know there's always going to be questions. That's why I'm going to post this a few days early, just so we can get all the questions out of the way. And then the actual swap will be posted on the 1st. Alrighty, I hope that we get enough people that we can do this, and this will be called the Passport to the Continents. Alrighty? Okay. Thanks for indulging me.